So the podcast today and what we're talking about in this next podcast series is actually going to be how to teach your kids about managing money. So we're going to go through, it's going to be a series. We're going to do a few different podcasts on this because it's too much for one. But what I'm going to do is split them up into this intro podcast where I'm going to teach, we're going to talk about why it's important to teach your kids about money. And then in the next podcast, we're going to be talking about kind of practical things you can be doing with younger kids, so like preschool to elementary age kids, and how you can be teaching them, and then junior high age kids, middle schoolers, what you can be doing during those ages, and then what you can be doing during high school to teach your kids about money. So it kind of makes sense to break it up by age, just because there is so much to cover. If we don't break it up by age, it's just too much to cover, and that way you can give you some practical ideas and things you can be doing per each age when it comes to money. So I want to give you some steps on kind of concepts that you should be talking about for each age time frame, and then also some kind of practical ideas that you could try to use during those ages as well in order to kind of help reinforce the concepts that you're going to teach those ages. So those will be the next three podcasts. Again, the preschool, elementary school age, and then, middle schoolers, and then high schoolers. High schoolers will kind of cover also like leading into adulthood, college, and what I would recommend for those kids. But that's how we're going to set it up. But in this podcast today, I want to talk about just why you need to be teaching your kids about money and why that is so important. So unfortunately, still today, I think there's only like 23 states that require a personal finance course in high school before students graduate, which I fully disagree with. I think personal finance needs to be a class at every high school, and every kid needs to have taken that class before graduating. I think learning about personal finance and learning about taxes are incredibly important. If you are an employer, I'm sure you had this scenario in which you kind of hire, if you're an employer that has ever hired a younger, like fresh out of maybe a high schooler or fresh out of, or, in college or fresh out of college, they have not worked and have not been on a payroll before. And you hire them, you tell them how much they're going to make, they get their first paycheck, and you get a phone call like, hey, I think something's wrong with my paycheck. You said I was going to make this much money and I didn't get that much money. And as the employer, you have to be like, no, that's taxes. That is how taxes work. So don't have that be your kid because again, they're not learning it at school. So they will not have any idea unless you as the parent are going to be teaching them. So it's incredibly important to teach your kids about managing money. And in my opinion, kids are incredibly capable at actually very young ages, and they can begin soaking in money concepts from young ages. I mean, just as simply as going to the grocery store when your kids are little, and we'll talk about this, I'm not gonna get into too many, topics about ages, but for example, if you're going to the grocery store and your kids are little, you can just be having conversation with them about, oh, that cost this, and no, we're just trying to stick to this budget, so we're not gonna get that today. And they will learn by absorbing and hearing, you talk and you demonstrate your relationship with money. So again, it is incredibly important that as a parent, you are the one that's going to have to teach this, because they are not learning it at school. They are not learning it anywhere else. And if you don't teach them, they're gonna, have to learn through trial and error themselves. I have talked to so many people, clients, and just other people that have told me that their parents, even if they did really well, even if they were good with money themselves, their parents told them nothing about money. It was like money doesn't grow on trees, and that was the extent of the conversation. They never told them how to budget. They never told them anything, anything that they knew, and they did know because they were good with money. They never passed on any of that to their kids. And you kind of hear the saying, like, people think, oh, a lot's caught, more is caught than taught, which is true if you're actually talking about it. Kids aren't going to just absorb things by just seeing you sit at the kitchen table paying bills. It's like, okay, yeah, mom's paying bills, but they don't understand that concept. It has to be talked about. So it can be caught for sure. You should be demonstrating healthy money habits so that your kids see you demonstrating healthy money habits, but you're also going to need to talk about it, and you're going to need to teach them. teaching your kids about money now will hopefully help save them from having huge regrets later on with money. If you allow your kids just kind of learn from trial and error themselves when they're young adults, then that is when they are going to find themselves in a ton of debt that they can't get out of. That is just this crazy uphill battle. So, help teach your kids now so that they can avoid some of those pains. I am a big proponent of allowing your kids to kind of feel some money pains when they're young. Let them experience buyer's remorse so that they don't have to experience that on a car when they're an adult. It was on a stuffed animal when they were a kid, and they knew what that felt like, so they knew to take more time to process, what they should be buying. So teaching your kids about money can just really help them from having huge money regrets later on in life as an adult. And then finally, it just can give your kid the biggest head start in life if they know about money. If kids have a concept of money, they have a concept of saving, they have a concept of spending, they have a concept of investing, they are going to be so far ahead, and you just give them a huge head start in life, and you just help make their financial life so much easier. For example, if a kid starts investing at 18, and they invest till they're 67 or so, and all they have to do is put $100 a month into an account and average 10% over that period of time, and they'll have $1.5 million in retirement. So, or in that account at 67. So starting investing young and teaching that to your kid young so they get it gives them such a huge advantage at life because they don't need to make up all this ground later in life after they've paid off debt and have to save so much money in order to catch up. They can just slowly do it. It just makes their life so much easier. So it is incredibly important. What I think that needs to be taught to kids, so kind of a overview of what I would say is important to teach kids, what the concepts they need to have when it comes to money. Before they graduate high school would be, concepts of budgeting, the value of money, how to work hard, how to earn. You gotta teach your kids how to earn money. That actually, I think, needs to be taught. I don't think that's something that is gonna be just naturally like, oh, they're gonna wanna work one day. I think that's something that needs to actually be taught to your kids. Teach them how to earn money. Teach them how to save, teach them how to invest, teach them how to be generous. In our house, we like to teach that as well. Maybe that's not everybody's house, but I want to teach my kids how to be generous. And I teach my kids about debt and about credit cards. And then obviously when they're older, we're going to teach about taxes as well. So those are kind of the concepts that we're going to be going over of how you can be teaching each of those concepts at different levels. It's funny, actually, I knew I kind of wanted to do this series, and I'm going to be doing it in my webinar as well. And so I've just been kind of like taking notes and really, thinking like, where did I learn about money? How am I teaching my kids about money? How did my husband learn about money? And just been kind of like compiling all that information. And today, actually, so recently my oldest son is 12 years old, and we recently got him his first debit card because he does know how to earn money, and he is very good at earning money when he wants to save for things. And so we thought, okay, well, it'll just be easier to get him, instead of him having to have a lot of cash on hand, we can get him a debit card and start teaching him how to use his debit card. And it's at a normal main bank. It's held at a main bank, and we got this ad like, hey, it's the same bank that we hold our my husband and I have our accounts at, and we got a thing in the mail about here's how to teach get this account to help teach your kids about money. So we were like, yeah, actually we've been thinking about doing that. So we got him this debit card that has an account attached to it so he can start learning about money. Except then today we went to the bank so he could take his cash to deposit his money into this account. And when, I was going to teach him about the ATM. And so we went up to the ATM, and he was, doing the things he needed to do at the ATM in order to be able to deposit money. And he got logged into his account on the ATM. And the only options that he had on this kid debit card was to take cash out or see his statements and balances. And I was like, that's weird. Let's go inside. Let's ask the people. I don't know why you can't deposit your money into your account. So we went inside and went and talked to the bank teller, and the bank teller was like, oh, that's a first card. He can't deposit into his account. It has to transfer from your account. And I was like, really? Like this whole advertisement is to teach kids about money, about managing their money, yet he can only take money out of the bank, but he can't put money into the bank in his account. I mean, I know I could put in my account and then transfer it to him, and so he is still kind of learning that, but that made no sense to me that my 12-year-old son can withdraw money from his account, but he can't deposit money into his account. And that is exactly why you need to teach your kids about money, because if you don't teach your kids about money and they just grow up in this system of, oh, here's this debit card, use this debit card, I'll transfer money into your account, and they learn that the bank is where they get money, but the bank is not where they put money, then that is a problem. And you are going to create a person who is going to be in a ton of debt because they just get money from the bank. They don't have to put money in the bank, they just get money from the bank. So again, you got to teach your kids about money. I was just like laughing, like here I am going to do this series, and this situation happened of like, all right, yes, this is the reinforcement that you need to be teaching your kids about money, because this system wants your kids in debt, and so you need to be teaching them about that before they get in debt. My parents, my dad is a financial advisor as well, and so and my parents always talked about money. In the way that they taught us about money, like here's how you save, here's how you invest. I learned about investing at a young age, and I actually loved it because I learned the concept of like when the market goes down, things are on sale. I'm like, great, the market's down, things are on sale, I can get more shares. And so I, will be applying the things that I learned we apply that to how we raise our kids, and teaching them about money. And then same with my husband. He grew up in a different situation than I did with his parents, but they, did different things to teach him about money. So those are all the things we've kind of compiled together of how we teach our kids. We have 4 kids, how we teach our kids about money. And then obviously with just having talked to so many clients and so many people about how they learned about money, and kind of just taking, those as well in order to get to this place of like, here's how I would recommend giving your kids a start in financial education. So I'm pretty excited to go through this series and with you, and give you kind of the ins and outs of what I believe will give your kid a pretty solid start in understanding finances and giving them a leg up in their future to get that head start. So stay tuned for that next series, that next podcast. Again, that's going to be, the next one will be on elementary school age kids, young kids, elementary school age kids, and my best advice for how to start, getting them started on these different topics. So looking forward to it, and we'll have a good day.